Recording is
I'm
on.
going to look at the scope. Like I said, we plan the scope. We need to plan the scope. We need to plan the risk. We need to plan how we are going to make use of our resources. We need to plan how we are going to communicate with our project. We need to plan the risk. Many other things we are going to plan. But the next thing we are going to do now, we are going to talk about how do we plan scope in our project. To understand that one better, we need to differentiate between two things in our project. Scope. What's scope? Scope simply means the work and only the work required to be done to produce a project deliverable in our projects so that we can be able to achieve our project goal. It's called scope. But we have two types of scope. We have project scope and product scope. It is fixed or flexible. When you say it is fixed, you are looking at it from the point of view of whether you are using agile approach or waterfall approach. When you say it is flexible, if you want to make it flexible, you are talking about agile approach. If you want to make it fixed, you can plan all the work from the beginning to the end. You know what you are going to do is fixed already. So that is something that is well defined. So we have two types of scope: project scope and product scope. When you say product scope, you are talking about the features and functionality of the solution you are trying to create your project. For example, if you have a mobile phone comes with a lot of things. You have features and functionality. You have the screen. You have the you can take it to take a picture. There are a lot of features and function that comes with phone. That one is called product scope. When you say project scope, it includes the product scope and the work you are going to do to create that product. You know, when you see your phone, your mobile phone, it has screen. Sometimes you can see touch point, you can touch the button. You can use to take a photo or photograph. There are a lot of features. You can even use it to make call. This is what we refer to as a product scope. You understand me? But when you say project scope, it's including the feature and function and the work you are going to do to create that feature to be able to enjoy those functionality in your phone. It's called a project scope. Then let's look at the adaptabilities and resilience in planning. Each time you hear about adaptability, you focus your mind on is you are looking at adaptive approach. In adaptive approach, when you are planning your work, when you are planning the scope, you can see you talk about rolling wave planning. It's a form of progressive elaboration. When I say something elaborated, that means you elaborate in detail. But this one, you are not doing the work in elaborate. You do it progressively in a progressive elaboration. So when you say rolling wave planning, you are planning the work you are going to do. It's a form of progressive elaboration applied to work package. In project, when you say work package, it means that the work we are going to do. That's what I mean. For example, if I'm building a house, I can divide it into in phases. I say the foundation is a work package. Foundation alone, that one is a work package. The first floor of the building is another work package. Second floor is a work package. That's what I mean. So, but you cannot start doing the foundation. You need to break down the activities and the work you are going to do. The foundation, you need to decompose them. If I want to build the house now, I will start with digging. I will clear the site. I will do the digging. In the digging, to do the foundation, I'm going to do a lot of activities, a lot of work, and I'm going to assign resources to the work I'm going to do in that foundation work of a building. So that means I need to break down the work package, that and the work of the foundation into smaller units. Somebody will be doing the digging, somebody will be doing plastering, somebody will be erecting iron, somebody will be pouring maybe sands and cement and other thing like that. So I have to break it down to smaller element so that I can assign people who are going to do the different aspect of the work in that work package. In other words, in project, we must break down the work package toward activities. The activity will be done to complete that work package. Like digging of that foundation is a work is an activity. Somebody who will pour concrete and cement, somebody who will erect iron they are the activities. So work package always we must break it down to activities level, whereby we can assign each of the activities to maybe a team member who will now do maybe digging or plastering or erecting of iron or pouring waters and maybe cements and concrete into that foundation. So remember that work package must be broken down to activities. Then I can also assign resources to those activities, human resources and non-human resources. I can also do my costing from that activities. Because if I assign activity to you, maybe you are maybe four person who will be doing the digging of the foundation. That digging, maybe it's going to take them for 3 days, and they're going to work for 8 hours in a day. And every hour they work, I'm going to pay them maybe $100. So it will also help me to do my cost and budget. So I know how many resources, whether human resources or non human resources, I'm going to use in that work package, that activity that form the work package, to know how much I'm going to do my budget, how much I'm going to spend on that work packages. So a rolling wave planning is a form of progressive elaboration applied to work packages, planning packages, and release planning, used in adaptive or predictive approaches. So you can use work package for both predictive and adaptive. But under the adaptive, we don't call it work package. We call it product backlog. All the work we are going to do, if they are broken down into smaller elements. If I'm going to build if I'm going to build an application, all the feature and functionality, the user story, work item will be broken down into smaller units and in the product backlog. That the most important work we are going to do, we place at the top of the product backlog. That is the first thing the developer are going to do during the sprint to start their job, to produce an increment or a part of the deliverable. But when you're talking about plan driven, you can call it work packages. When you're talking about it in the chain driven, you say product backlog. So we plan for work incrementally in the adaptive. When you say you do increments, I am building a application software. I don't need all the modules of the application software. What is more important to me is the first module that is important to us now to do our business activities and do a business transaction, financial business transaction. So I will not tell the developer or the product owner, this is how we want it. This is what we want first. These are the functionality and the feature and function that will be available there. And that is what we want now. Because this one will give us value now. So that's what they call incremental. After we finish that one, that is what the user of that application want. You finish that first module, it can be accounts receivable. Then we need to go again to the next module. That means we are increasing it. We are finished the first module, we are now going to the second module, account payable. After we have done all the necessary things we are going to do in our project, we go to the third module, report module. So you are doing it incrementally. So that's what he's trying to talk about here. So that you can quickly get value early in the project when it is delivered. So we call something product roadmap. Product roadmap. All this terminology, it does not necessarily mean that in the real life situation, all these things you need to go start reading them in this order. We are only learning this course in an order now. That is why we are going into this process. We are using this process. We are going to this extent. Normally, when you want to manage your project, whether a program roadmap will not allow the work to be get done. to get the work done. But you must know, for the sake of exam, what mean by product roadmap. So what's a product roadmap? I'm coming. I don't let me give you a product roadmap. I'm coming. Product roadmap in a project management is a high-level visual plan that outline the direction, goals, and timeline for a product development. It serves as a shared source of truth, aligning the stakeholders and guiding team on what to build, when to build it, and why they must build it. That's your team member. Essentially, it is a strategic document that communicates the product vision and strategy, ensuring everyone understands the product evolution and priorities over time. So if I want to start a project, maybe I want to construct road, I'm not the one, the project manager or the scrum master or the product owner or development, they are not the one who conceive the vision. Vision comes from the sponsor or the stakeholder of the organization. The only thing we need to know, we need to work to align our project work to that vision. That vision must be understood by us if you want to deliver value at the end of our project. But having gotten that vision, we collect the vision from them, from the users or the or sponsor. Then it is we who now look at the outcome of that project.
Hello, Mr. Dana.
Yeah. Hello. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm listening. Hello. I'm listening. So I'm trying to explain the product back roadmap. The roadmap is like a the I'm looking at the whole project from when we are going to start. Although we have not started the when we are going to start, what will it involve to the end? That will be by roadmap, something that will guide me when I will start to when I will end it. I want to visualize the vision to make the vision clear to my team member who will now do the work of the project to deliver the value. So he said that it's a strategic document that helps us to communicate the product vision, the strategy we are going to use to build the product, ensuring that everyone understand, the product owner understand, my team member understand, my developer understand, the what they call it, team lead understand. How does the product, how we are going to do it from the beginning to the end when we are going to deliver the product or deliverable, and which of these the work we are going to do for the deliverable, when are we going to do it, how are we going to do it, which one are we going to give priority first, which one do we get first. Most of the time the one we are going to exert our energy on, the work we are going to do in our project that we are going to use more energy on is the one that more important now for the end user. We do that first, we prioritize that. So product roadmap envision and plan the big picture. It displays the product strategy. What strategy are we going to use to create the product, the direction and the value to be delivered at the end of the project. It leads with overcharging product vision. We need to catch the vision of the project before we can create a product roadmap, and uses progressive elaboration to refine the vision. That means as we are doing the project, if there are going to be any changes or adaptation, we are ready as a strong team or agile team to adapt to that changes. That's why we're not going to do everything at once. We plan what we are going to do, the work of the project, based on the value that the stakeholder requested for. Then we use teams. We set goal. When we are doing the project work, we normally set goal. That is what we normally do in the sprint planning. We set goal. as we are going into a sprint, that iteration of that sprint, we say, what are we going to do in this sprint? How are we going to do it? When are we going to do it? We now set that objective. We determine the definition of done, the acceptance criteria. We determine when we are going to start the work of the project. That's we set goal. So that when we enter into the sprint, we start doing the work of the project. We start executing the activities of the project. See, we focus on that goal to make sure that goal we achieve it. And we are not going to receive any other job after we are already taking the work we are going to do until we finish that sprint. So it uses team or goal to provide structure and association. In the product map, provide short time and long time visualization of the whole project from the beginning to the end. After the project vision, we have product roadmap. Then let's look at what they call milestone. Milestone are just like what? A list, a milestone list is just like a significant aspect of our project, something that is important in our project that we must finish at a regular period that show that we are progressing well in our project, something that is important, something that when we do it, we have accomplished a significant aspect of our project. For example, if I'm building a house, one of the important biggest milestone is the foundation. If the foundation is well structured, is well built,
Hello, Mr. Dana. I can't hear you again.
ah, right? Let me check my hello, 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 and I'm hearing you. Hello, hello. Ah, what happened? And I'm hearing you. Are you sure it's not so? Hello, hello. Oh, wow. What happened now? That's a problem now.
Telling you that I wasn't hearing you again.
Hello, are you hearing me now? Hello.
Yes, I can hear you
Oh,
now.
hey, okay. Now, I was trying to differentiate between vision, project vision, and the roadmap. Then before you come to milestone, I say a milestone is a significant aspect of our project, something that is very important. You want to deliver at a particular point in time in our project. Now I say one of the milestones when I say we are building a house or we are constructing roads. Let's say we are building a house. The a significant part of the project of building a house is our ability to be able to have a good foundation for the house. So I will know the time we are going to deliver it. So it give us expectation. By the time we start the project, what is the approximate time we are going to release the foundation? Because it's very important to our project. We are going to build about 10-story building. If the foundation is not okay, it's going to affect the structure. So that's a milestone. And we release foundation is another milestone. First floor of the house is another milestone. Second floor another milestone. These are very important area of our project that we need to witness and review them after it has been delivered, so that we know whether what has been done are done very well or not done very well. So we can call it markers for big events. Help us to review what we have done so far. Help us to know when that milestone will be ready, when it will be delivered, the increment will be delivered. What are we going to spend? Payment or decision making? Prompts for reporting requirement or sponsor customer approval. That's the meaning of SPONT. Prompts. Created by who? The project manager may create the milestone or both. He creates the markers and the prompts. And when he does that, he creates a list. Can you see? A milestone list. Identify all the milestones and indicate which mandatory. If you are building a house now, a milestone that is very mandatory before you start building the first floor, second floor is the foundation. So a milestone list identify all milestones and indicate which one are mandatory, required by contract. If I'm building a house, it is mandatory that I'll start with the foundation, or optional, estimated on historical information. So we are still learning. Now, about I have defined scope as the work and only the work required to be done by the project manager and his team to produce deliverable of the project. So, and that work must be planned. So we are now looking at two ways of using different methodology to plan our work in a project. That's why I say scope planning, comparison of processes. There's a process we use to plan projects under the waterfall methodology. There are also some process we need to pass through, to walk through, to plan our work of our project under the adaptive approach. That's why we are comparing here now. Under the waterfall, if you see this icon, it means waterfall. If you see this icon here, it means what? It means the adaptive. So let's start. Under the waterfall, there is a project manager. What does he do? When you are talking about planning of the project, a particular project, project manager facilitates the collect requirement process. That is what you do when you are planning your project work. If I'm going to build a house, I need to gather requirement about the house. If I'm going to build an application software, I need to gather requirement from the user of that application. So under the waterfall, project manager facilitates, remember, the collect requirement process. What are requirements? Requirements are usable representation of need. What customer wants in the solution I want to create. How do they want it? Do you understand me? What are the feature and function they need to see to make them to be able to use that solution is the requirement. I need to gather it from there. If I don't gather it, I may not know what they need. How will I know what they need and what they want? Except they explain it to me through the information I will gather from there, which is called requirement. Project manager does that. Then documents requirement in what? When we gather that requirement, the information about the solution we want to create for the end user, we document them in where? Can you see? In a scope statement. We gather it, we now form a scope statement from it. Document requirement in a word scope statement. It could be in a text. Then from the scope statement, we now break down the deliverable, what you want to produce, into smaller elements so that we can be able to assign costs and resources to them. We call that one work breakdown structure. If I want to build a house, I need to break down all the work packages into activities. I cannot start building a house. There are some activities I'm going to do, and activities I cannot do everything at once. I cannot produce a house at once. I need to first break them down all the work package into smaller activities. Different individual in my team will be handling different activities that will form. By the time we finish that activities, we create that we finish that activity. We will have built something like a work package, the whole foundation. So that's why I say we now break them down into work breakdown structure. The work we are going to do, we are going to assign to different member of our team. Then there's no way we are doing work. We need to work is associated with time. If I distribute the work, of the foundation, the digging, the erection of iron and pillar, and the pouring out of concrete. Some set of people are going to do that work. But as they are doing that work, I'm going to pay them based on the number of hours they used to do the work. For example, if you are doing foundation of a house, we have about 10 diggers who will dig the foundation. I say for every hour of your digging of the foundation, I'm going to pay you $100 per hour. And every day they will now do what they use 6 hours to do the digging, and the whole digging will take about 2 days. It will help me to be able to assign time to them. How long will you take you to do the activities for a day? That's how I mean, and for 2 days. So that was it. You develop schedule. The work you are doing, you do it over time. But I'm going to pay you over time. So you develop schedule. Then you are going to use money to buy resources, to pay the worker, to pay the digger. Budget to be involved. You are going to use non-human resources like digger, like caterpillar, other kinds of resources. And while you are doing the work, you have to focus that this work is not just doing work, you are going to produce a quality work, quality plans to deliver the requirement. But when you come to product owner, it's a little bit different from that. Although they are doing the same thing, they will arrive at the same thing, but their method is different, their approach is different. Under the under the adaptive or agile or scrum, it is the scrum owner, can you see, that creates and refine release backlog for iteration planning meeting. He's doing the work of project manager here now. He's the one that collect requirement from the end user. Project manager is the one, him and the team member will collect requirement, but he is the one that facilitate the requirement process. But product owner is the only one person and only one person that gather requirement from end user. And I say he creates and refine. When I gather requirement from end user, and then after some time, the end user or the customer or the stakeholder, they change their mind. I'm still the person who is going to refine it. Can you see? He creates and refine release backlog for iteration planning meeting. It is what the requirement now, which contain the features or functionality of the product they are going to produce. So that is what they are going to plan. That planning there is the outcome of that plan is what the developer, the requirement the developer is going to use to design that product. He explained each prioritized user story in detail to the team. You can see. He's the one who understands what customer want in the product, how they want it, when they want it, the kind of quality they want. So if he now interview the end user, he collect those information in form of a requirement and take it to the developer, and he will explain it to the developer the way the customer want it. He explain each prioritized user story in the details to the team. When you say prioritize, e mean that when he create a product backlog whereby he put all those user story, the most important user story that the developer will build, first build, is put at the top. Any secondary work will come after that. The team in this one now, the team also break down the work, but under the agile, the team estimate effort require and create the iteration baseline, selecting the story to meet the expected velocity. When I say velocity, they want to pick the work that they can quickly do to deliver the increment or the product. They want to know how fast they can do the work. Can you see? So the team estimates efforts required and creates the iteration baseline, selecting story to meet the expected velocity for the iteration, the time period they are going to do the work, which is called sprint iteration. Then the team places user story. That is, the user story has been arranged now. Then the team now who are going to do the work now, they place the user story from the product backlog into the release backlog to support identify feature and function they want to build in the sprint. The team uses a story map, that is to sequence. Story map means that all the work we are going to do, we are going to do them in a particular order. So we are going to list them down in a particular order, in priority. So if I finish one feature and function, I will go for another one. So I'm going to arrange it in the order that will make us to be able to do the work seamlessly. So therefore, uses the team uses a story map. You can map all the work you are going to do in sequence. So the team uses a story map to sequence and prioritize. That is, you sequence the work we are going to do. The most important one we are going to do first is prioritize. Prioritize the user story in the release backlog. You can see. Then, what do we do first? Whether you are using adaptive approach or waterfall approach, we gather requirements. Every project, every work of a project, we start with what? Gathering requirement from end user. You have to gather requirement from the user or the stakeholders. You call it requirement elicitation. Let's look at it. In a predictive, can you see, approach, in predictive projects, requirements are elicited and are set at the beginning of the project. Under the agile, sort of, user story are a different way. User story are a different way of thinking about the requirement process. Under the waterfall, which is called adaptive, we don't collect the user story for all the work we are going to do throughout the project. We only collect the user story for item we want to build. The first one we want to build, that what it is the uttermost part of what the user want to use. The most important thing to the user to the user of that solution is what we do here. We only collect that aspect. If I use that my example, that I want to build an application software which are broken down into modules. Module one will be account receivable. That first one is what the team are going to prioritize, because the owner of the project or the user say, this is what we want first, this is what is more important to us now first, and that is what we are going to work on first, and that's the only work we are going to collect requirement for, so that we can quickly focus on that and do it and demonstrate it with them, and for when we finish that, they can start using, getting the benefit from that earlier. But when you say the combination of both, maybe hybrid projects may elicit and refine requirement or compose compose user story. So when you say combination, the hybrid, it means that you can use partly waterfall, partly adaptive approach. You say requirement, what are they and why do we need them? You say a requirement is one single measurable statement of a condition or capability. It tells us how a product in our project or a service of our project or result satisfy a business need or satisfy a customer need or end user need. What are the guidelines for use? You start at high level before providing details. Then must be unambiguous. Any requirement you gather from customer or end user about the solution you want to create, or about the increment you want to create, or about the work you want to do, it must be unambiguous. When you say something is unambiguous, it should be very clear, no assumption. It should be measurable. I should be able to measure the requirement. Any requirement I gather from the end user to create solution, it should be textable. If I cannot test it, how will I know? How will I measure whether it's going to work? It should be traceable. I can trace it back to the origin. If somebody query me and why did I use this requirement, I can trace it to the beginning that you are the people who say I should use this requirement, which I gather from you. It should be complete. For me to create a complete product that will be usable by the end user, the requirement must be complete. Otherwise, if I use incomplete requirement, I'm creating incomplete products that may not be useful to the end user. It should be consistent with other requirements and acceptable to a key stakeholder. So that's the characteristic of a requirement. It should be textable, it should be measurable, it should be traceable, it should be complete at the point of collection, it should be clear. Because if it is not clear to me, I will not be able to build a solution that will be useful. It should be consistent, it should be acceptable to key stakeholder. Because if I use it to create the solution, then that solution, if it's aligned with the user story, that means that it will be acceptable to the stakeholder. Any requirement you gather, you are going to use what they call requirement traceability matrix to store it. That's why you are seeing this page. Document requirement. Document requirement. Can you see? A simple, I say all the requirements you gather, you must document them. One of the way where you are going to document them, you are going to document them when you are using water for its work. You call that document called requirement traceability matrix. It is the document we use to document all the requirements you gather from the end user or the stakeholder. A simple format, and that's the example of the format you are seeing here in this picture. A single format, a simple format, e.g., a document listing all requirements you gather from the end user. How do you categorize the requirement or categorize by stakeholder and priority? Sometimes you need to categorize the requirement. Out of the requirement, which among the requirement A you are going to give priority when you are now using that requirement to create solution, or more elaborate summary or detailed description and attachments. All these requirements, when you gather them together, you store them in what? Which document? Requirement traceability matrix. This picture you are seeing here represent the what a requirement traceability matrix look like. I hope you can see this one clearly. So if you look at it now, it's a document that you create to allow you to store all the requirements you gather from the end user. Requirement traceability matrix. Look at the format: project name, cost center, project description, project ID, association, associate ID, the description of that requirement, what business need does the requirement want to meet. Can you see? Business needs, opportunity of that requirement to your organization. That is the benefit. What is the goal of that requirement? What are the objectives of that requirement? Another one say, what is the project objectives? So that you can know how to align the requirement to the project objective. What are the WBS deliverable, work breakdown structure that the requirement is going to meet? How does the requirement describe the product design? Because we cannot design any meaningful product outside the requirement. Hence, the product design. That requirement must support the product design. Then product development. After the design of the product, you develop the product. You develop the product according to the requirement you gather, and the total cases or other information are stored in the requirement traceability matrix. All the information about the requirement are stored in the requirement traceability matrix so that the developer and the team member will now get that information to do what? To create the project scope statement. Very important. If there's any point in time you don't understand what I'm saying, please indicate.
Sorry, Mr. Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
I have a concern.
Mm-hmm.
My gadget, the battery is down now. It's around 19%.
It
So I'm
will.
just wondering, when are we going to end this session so that I don't miss out of the rest of the day?
And today, let's say I will stop with. How long do you think that that battery can take you? Up to 5 minutes or 10 minutes?
Maybe like 5-10 minutes maximum. 10 minutes maximum. It's not
Okay.
nineteen
Within
percent.
that 10 minutes, I will work within that 10 minutes. I will stop so that I can allow you to
Okay.
charge it.
Okay.
So let me just quickly
Okay.
cover some
Thank you so
because
much.
we are supposed to finish tomorrow, but because of the inconsistency, because of the online, we are not able to do much, and we still have a lot of things to cover. So the only thing I will do,
Yeah.
the one we not cover, I will send all the recorded version to you. Because I've done this over and over.
Okay. That's
So I will just send them to you, but I
okay.
will touch the most important area for your project. Then I will also
Okay.
send some other material
Okay.
to you
Thank
for
you.
reading to support the video.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So now we are going to talk about the requirement management plan. You need to plan your requirement gathering. How do you plan, you track requirement, and report on the requirement activities. In order the waterfall, the requirement management plan will involve what? Configuration management activities, which include what? Version control rules. Because sometimes requirement will also determine the how you are going to version control the product you'll be producing. If you produce one, there's a changes into that what you produce in your project. That means you'll be able to give a number or a version control or date or time so that you can differentiate between what was done originally and what was done that changes are made upon. I made some changes so that if I want to know different version, the original one, the one that I have improved through some changes, I can be able to determine them. There's a version control rules, impact analysis, tracing and tracking and reporting of that requirement. Require authorization level for a change approval. For example, now I gather requirement from the end user, and at the end of the day, while I'm building the solution using that requirement, and changes come, I don't just effect the changes. The changes have to go through the integrated change control process for approval by the change board. They will evaluate the reason why they will evaluate the impact of the change I'm making on our budget, on our cost, on the schedule of the project, on the quality of the project, or the resources I will use to build the project. So if they now analyze that and evaluate the impact of that change on my project, they may either approve it or disapprove it. So it requires authorization level for a change approval. Prioritization criteria process. When I say prioritization and criteria process, that there are a lot of requirements I'm going to gather from the end user, but it's not all the requirements that will be very useful. Or is the requirement will not carry the same prioritization value. Some of the requirements I'm going to prioritize them are very important to start doing the what I should do first. Prioritization criteria process. I need to do that. I will arrange the requirement based on the importance of that criteria to the work I want to do, so that the user will get the quick benefits from that. We know what to do first, what matters to the user of that solution we want to create. That's the purpose of prioritization of the requirement. Then product metrics and accompanying rationale. Why are we prioritizing? How are we going to measure the requirement to know whether it's going to be useful to the end user, or what is more important to the end user? What is more important to end user? When we're now using it, how are we going to prioritize? How are we going to know this one will be very useful to the customer? Traceability structure and including requirement attributes. If there's any complaint by any stakeholder querying me that why did I do this first, and then I can now trace it back to the instruction that was given unto me by the stakeholder, because every requirement I gather before I use it, there must be a way whereby they need to how do I put it? They are going to approve it that go ahead and use this requirement. So if I use it, anybody now come to query me, I can trace it back to the beginning. These are the requirements we agreed that we work on, and the one we should do first. So if anybody query me, I can say I trace it back to them, that we jointly agreed that I'm going to use this requirement to start the work of the project. I will call it traceability structure, including requirement attribute and the rationale of using that requirement. So I'm going to stop here because of what you have just said. So I allow you to use about maybe
Okay.
maybe 30 minutes to do some charging your battery, or 40 minutes, because we are supposed to close by 4. So I can allow you to charge. So just let us look at the types of requirements before I just close now. You say type of requirement. In exam, you supposed to know the type of requirement. They can give you a scenario question that describe a different types of requirement. You should be able to figure out that kind of requirement. Then let's describe it. Number one, we have different type of requirement. We have project requirement, we have product requirement, we have quality requirement, we have business requirement, we have stakeholder requirement, we have transition or readiness requirement. If you look at the project requirement, what does it involve? How do we describe that? Actions, processes, and condition the project must meet is the project requirement. Any action we take, any process we use, and the condition on that we use that process to the project, so that we can meet the needs of the project, is project requirement. But product requirement, let me give you an example. If I want to build a mobile phone, the product requirement are the features I must put in that mobile phone. It must have screen. The screen must be a touch screen. It's a feature. I should be able to make a call using the mobile phone globally. I should be able to use the camera there to take a good picture. Those are the feature. So when I'm building that solution, that mobile phone, all those things must be there. It should be rugged. It should have a particular color. That must be the phone must have a small dimension. You should be able to set the dimension, the dimension of the screen. It should not be too heavy. It should be light. The screen must be very rugged so that when it fall down, it can be sustained. Those are the product features. So that when I'm now building the mobile phone, all those features must be available before it can be accepted that it's a good phone from the mind of the user. So product requirement are features and characteristics of product, service, if it's a service or result that will meet the business and the stakeholder requirement. It could be functional requirement, the product feature, and non-functional requirement, supplemental environmental condition, quality that make the product effective to use. So if it's a quality requirement, is a condition or criteria need to validate. There must be a way to validate what I've done, whether it's okay. We call it acceptance criteria or definition of done. We call that one quality requirement. If you finish the whole work, if you build a mobile phone for me, there must be a criteria to judge whether you have done the right thing that make that phone to be useful to me. A quality requirement, condition or criteria needed to validate the successful completion of a project deliverable or fulfillment of other project requirements. That's what they call quality requirement. What's the business requirement? Is it the requirement that if I sell this phone as an organization, we sell that phone. That means the phone, this customer will like it. That means if they like it, we are able to satisfy our customer because it meets all the requirements the customer want, then it can help us to achieve our own goal. That means by able to sell as many phones to the end user, that means we are able to fulfill our goal of increasing our revenue because we are going to sell good phone to many customers. So business requirement, higher level organizational needs, reason for the project. Reason for the project is, if I say example of this mobile phone, is that we want to sell it to our valuable customer, our customer, and they, when they love it, they will buy more. It will increase our revenue, and there will be a growth for us. That's our strategic objective. That's the business goal. Stakeholder, stakeholder group needs or reporting requirement. Stakeholder themselves also need they have a requirement. That requirement it will help them also to meet the organization requirement. We have transition requirement, temporary things requirement, temporary capability needed to transition successfully to the desired future state. So these are the different types of requirements. For the sake of the your laptop, the battery has gone down. So I'm going to stop here. So I'm going to give you about 40 minutes. You do the charging or any other thing you want to do. They will now come back. Do you agree with that? Do you satisfied with that?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll come back after 40 minutes. Or you can make it 1 hour because it's supposed to be a long break. Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. You can go ahead.
Thank you.